We would like first to ask everyone to introduce themselves. Well, our panel of discussants and the observer, your name and from what company or organization you're from, para po magkakilala tayo. So, as Sir Tony mentioned earlier, this is a free-flowing discussion. You can just, ask questions, pop if you have some ideas, So, we will first introduce ourselves. So, mag-start po tayo with Sir. Okay.
Yeah, so I've introduced myself. Benita is my mother. Catalino is my father, both deceased. They were both teachers. My mother started teaching after grade 6 because in those days, in the 30s and 40s, I guess, konti lang natapos na elementary. So all my aunties and uncles, I think, are teachers. All those in uniform who came are from one of my schools. They are senior high school. I would like the senior high school students to consider microfinance as an option. The important thing I can tell you is that I'm just an accountant. I spent all my years in SGV. When I retired, I was the boss. I was one of the 5 bosses running SGV worldwide. I don't know anything about accounting or audit anymore. I retired 33 years ago in 1986. Matagal na yun. I was before my 40th birthday. That's when I retired. Ed, napakilala ka na? What else?
Yeah, I'm Ed Amistad. Recently retired. I retired a month and a half ago. My last employment is with the UCPB Group. I was handling the finance company and the foundation. These are social development arms of the UCPB Group of companies. Unlike Tony, he was able to retire early. That was also my plan, to retire probably 40, 45. But somehow, along the way, I began enjoying my work. So until suddenly I found out I'm already already belong to the SSCC club, Tony, the Sexy Senior Citizen Club. So I think it's about time. I said it's about time to retire. But my past engagement, I've been with. Basically, I'm a banker. No? I started my career in Manila Bank. I transferred to a government bank, Land Bank of the Philippines. And then I was invited UCPB Group. And I was involved with so many organizations, including, I was lucky to be the founding chair of the ASEAN CSR Network. That's a network of networks in the ASEAN region from the different ASEAN countries. And now, since I think 3 or 4 years ago, I was invited by Tony to join BCY Foundation. I don't know why, but I'm trying my best to to help out. Okay. Again, good morning to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am Noel Crisostomo. I'm a small businessman from Bulacan. I'm representing Father Mercado, who's the director, used to be director of NDU, Notre Dame University. And for whatever reason, he sent me here. I think he wants to help me out in microfinancing. And I've been in the business for the longest time already. I inherited the business from my parents, Father Mercado's sister. It's a garment business in Bulacan. Used to be very big, and then during the recession, when after import liberalization, business fell, and then we're starting again. During the 80s was the heyday of microfinancing, and we found ourselves the very beneficiary of NACIDA. Used to be NACIDA, and then in the 80s, during the time of Mina Gabor, our business went into full blast because of the proliferation of export, and we were sent abroad to attend trade missions, and we made big business before. And during that time also, there was tax holiday for new businesses and small-scale industries. So it's my first time to attend a roundtable conference, and I'm getting excited already for what Sir Tony has been discussing. And I hope the government will be supporting us in this venture, and would be friendly towards small-scale industries and medium-scale. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kennedy Garabiag. I work for the Agricultural Credit Policy Council. It's an agency under the Department of Agriculture. Our agency does some sort of microfinancing also, but it's targeted to small farmers and fisher folk. Again, good morning.
Hello, good morning. I'm Joyce Sufficiencia from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, specifically in its financial inclusion group. So our office handles policy and program advocacy to make sure every Filipino, not only micro entrepreneurs, farmers, are able to access finance, whether savings, credit, all these financial services that are welfare enhancing. So I'm happy to be here. I'm also an accountant like you, sir. I started as an auditor in an auditing firm, then moved to BSP as a bank examiner. So now I'm doing policy work. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cesar Villanueva from Bangko Sentral. Along with Joyce, I'm with the Financial Inclusion Unit of BSP, and I'm also involved in policy review and development. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Aaron Diaz, Program Officer of the Development Bank of the Philippines. I handle most of the loan programs of the bank for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So we do hope that we could be of assistance in empowering our micro enterprises. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Susie Aquino. I'm from Development Bank of the Philippines. I head the financial institution, so I lend to FIs, who in turn lend to small, medium, micro enterprises. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea Dabret. I'm a policy advocacy assistant for the Philippine Exporters Confederation. Good morning. I'm Liza Leong, AVP for Advocacy and Communications of the Philippine Exporters Confederation. We are the umbrella organization of Philippine exporters, mostly micro, small, and medium enterprises. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Grace Mirasol from the Export Development Council. And we work extensively with EMSMED Council and also with BSP on our networking committee on financing.
Good morning. I'm Pinky Ong from Radio Wealth Finance. I'm AVP for Credit Department. Our company is actually into, our market is largely SMEs also. And so the thrust of the company now is to really push for small scale or small loan sizes. So the microfinancing. So we do have challenges in terms of policy formulation. That's why we wanted to participate here and be able to raise those and also learn on how to go about pushing the SMEs.
Good morning. I'm Michelle So. I'm VP for Lending Operations, also from Radio Wealth Finance. I just joined Radio Wealth last December, and prior to that, I've been in the banking industry for more than 20 years. So it's really the first for me to be exposed to our market now. So it's also an exciting time. I'm very excited to join my first microfinance roundtable. So I hope to learn from everyone here.
Good morning. I'm Paul Pajarillo from Radio Wealth Finance, heading the Treasury Group of Radio Wealth. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Claire Rivera from the Department of Science and Technology. This is the first for me, but I have attended the Social Enterprise RGD of Sir Tony also. So we do assist SMEs, MSMEs, one of our programs. So we intend to upgrade it to the next level by using this Industry 4.0 concept. So we assist the SMEs first, then we want to introduce them to the formal banking system. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. My name is Mong. I'm an optometrist by profession, but I do a lot of community service through Rotary. And the reason I'm here is because ayaw niyang tawagin ko siyang sir. Tony, and we had a meeting last week and he said you should go and attend. But my exposure to the microfinancing was through our programs in Rotary, wherein we get grants for the farmers. We had this project this year to the farmers of Tagaytay area. So I'm very much interested to be a part of your group, and I hope we're not only going to work for the Hometown Heroes Awards, but might as well. I'm very much interested to be a part of all this in this picture. So I hope I can work with all of you in the future.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tony. Thank you for inviting me to this roundtable discussion on microfinance. My name is Dr. Mildred Vitangcol, but you can call me Mildred. I'm a doctor by profession, a gastroenterologist. In 1997, I shifted from being a doctor to focus on death care. So what an irony, right? But I am with St. Peter Life Plan and Chapels now. I am the chairman, and I'm not here to talk about St. Peter, but most of our clients, our plan holders are really non-people or clients who has no access to banks. So we're very much similar to microinsurance, wherein no access to banks, and these are our clients, one-on-one direct selling. So again, I'm not here to talk about it, but I'm here because I'm very interested to be, of course, to learn more about this great person, Tony, and his advocacy. I was so inspired by him last week when we had a discussion about hometown heroes for Rotary. But our company is also just a realization now that our company also adopted a community in Ilocos. For the past 9 years, we funded the farmers to plant trees. So for the past 9 years, we've been doling out and supporting this group of 200 hectares and with 200 families. And now they're ready for a wood processing plant, which they don't have in that area. And last month, I had a meeting with the mayor, and they're thinking of also how to access money for the farmers to be able to put up this wood processing plant so that they will have their own income and, you know, they become sustainable and they're able to fund whatever projects that we have. But they also have this, you know, briquette, coal, and many other things. So I'm helping them, and I'm very involved with this project, and I'm so grateful that I was able to meet some of the people here from BSP, from financing institutions, and all, so that we can connect and collaborate with other with these families or with this group, so that they will have access to financing. So thank you so much, Sir Tony, and I'm so excited and very happy to be here this morning. And I'm also a member of MAP, by the way. So that's it.
Morning once again. I'm Alice Opeña from the Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Department of Trade and Industry. Our bureau acts as the secretariat of the National MSME Development Council. So we would like to hear more recommendations from this roundtable discussion, so that we can bring all these recommendations up to the National MSMED Council to help in its policy-making functions. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Dennis Peña. I'm the Managing Director of the Rural Bankers Research and Development Foundation, Incorporated. RBRDFI is the learning and capacity building arm of the Rural Bankers Association of the Philippines. I'm also the Corporate Secretary of the Microinsurance Intermediaries and Practitioners Association of the Philippines. My background in microfinance roots back in the early 2000s, 2004, when I was the ICT specialist, or ICT4D specialist of the Catholic Relief Services Regional Links Microfinance Learning Center based in Makati, where we provided technical assistance to microfinance institutions in Southeast Asia, South America, and North Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm One Alverion. I'm from Land Bank of the Philippines. Just a quick update. Land Bank of the Philippines, as of now, has exposure to over 30,000 SMEs nationwide that covers over 90 billion pesos. Thank you.
My name is Yasin Raji. I'm from IQDIN Technologies. Very happy to be invited here in the roundtable. Thank you, Tony. Our core beliefs at IQDIN Technologies have been always helping small medium enterprise through invoice financing. And of course, policymakers are very highly supportive to our cause. And we really think long-term perspective. So I'm here to learn about feedbacks and inputs of everyone. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ina Tangonan from National College of Business and Arts. Thank you, Sir Tony, for inviting me here. The first time I attended the meeting is during last July 11 with the foundation of Sir Tony, and I was so thankful to be invited once again, because this is my first time to hear about microfinance. And as of now, I am the Community Outreach Program Head of NCBA, 3 branches. So I need to know about this, because one of our objectives is to help our adopted community in Fairview, Taytay, and Cubao. Thank you. I hope to learn a lot about microfinancing and its policy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Aprilyn Burgos from NCBA, BSA student. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Ava de Guzman. I am from Suki Plus. My background is in consumer goods. I used to work with Nestle. So the reason I'm here is that we have a project with sari-sari store owners, and I think microfinance will play a vital portion to help them grow their businesses. So I would like to learn more about it. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Lourdes Stan from Cebuana Lulier Insurance Solutions. So basically, we offer insurances for those who are in the micro MSME sectors.
Good morning, everyone. My name is April Basilio. I'm also from Regional Finance, a private financing institution. I am handling product development. So Yes, as mentioned before, a huge chunk of our customers really belong to the MSME sector. And this forum will be very beneficial for us in creating products and services that will benefit them. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Batonan from the Cooperative Development Authority. Our agency caters on the regulation and development of cooperatives, and almost 95% of the registered cooperatives belong to the micro, medium, and small enterprise. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Silvina Joy P. Kayatok from St. Anthony College of Technology, grade 12 STEM.
Good morning everyone, I'm Mariel Jose, managing partner of a private microinsurance based here in Makati City named Handness. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yvonne Maniega from grade 12 STEM.
Hello everyone, I'm Adrian Kate M. Dizon, an ABM student from St. Anthony College of Technology.
I am Carla Marie Eliza C. Rabino. I am grade 12 and I'm taking accountancy, business and management, ABM strand at St. Anthony College of Technology.
Good morning everyone, I'm Trisha Sevilla from St. Anthony College of Technology, grade 12 ABM.
Hello everyone, my name is Kajan Lagason from St. Anthony College of Technology, grade 12 STEM.
Hello everyone, I'm Rosemary Policarpio from St. Anthony College of Technology, 12 STEM.
In case you're wondering why there are students, this is the 25th year of our foundation and I've never invited anyone from my schools. For the first time I said maybe they should hear about some of the policy discussions. So when we had the 5th National Social Business Roundtable, I invited third-year education students to attend, telling them that they have to understand that the CSR we teach them, which is required in our school, and the social entrepreneurship which is required in our school, is something that is vibrant, that is active, and that is something you should appreciate better. And I'm telling the grade 12 graduating students, they're not too young to hear about another way of creating a better future for themselves. And that at the policy level, you should have the brains to understand what will be discussed. After this, I'm not going to invite them again, only because this is not about my schools. This is about just showing. So, for example, in another event, I agreed to invite international school students because IS wanted to partner. I said, why don't you watch first? In another one, I let Letran and San Beda bring they're not kids anymore, no? But so I think for us in microfinance, one of the realities is that when you have a microfinance, some of the members of your 5 groups of 5 may be girls and boys of this age who, whether by choice or by accident, have to be involved in business. Anyway, now that we're here, why don't we start with summarizing what Director Alice was mentioning. You mentioned, Alice, that DTIs has certain very specific policy initiatives, issues, or questions at this point in time. Many of them have been around for a few years and have not been resolved. Are there some in this list that you think need further discussion, or they've all been discussed already?
Thank you, Sir Tony. From the previous microfinance roundtable discussion, what I recall as one of the policy recommendations and which I have mentioned in the opening remarks is the omnibus allocation, mandatory allocation, because we mentioned that most banks are having difficulties, especially yung mga rural banks. They're not able to comply with yung para sa medium naman because their core competence, of course, understandably, nandun sila sa mas maliliit. And then the bigger banks yung core clientele nila ay nasa malalaking MSMEs or enterprises. So to be able to address the concerns of banks of not being able to comply with the mandatory allocation, we are proposing for an omnibus mandatory allocation. So,
And it's not getting anywhere because of what? What's your assessment? What is the problem?
we did, well, from the BISMED side, MSMED Council, we did recommend, in fact, we even drafted a
Yes, but why was it not? Why has it not
It's
been
our
approved?
lawmakers that
You
are
think
not-
that's the problem?
I'm not sure. Well, of course, banks also have their own. Maybe Miss ano can help me out in recalling the
No, but from DTI's point of view. as
we
the-
are in favor.
No, you're the proponent, diba?
Yeah.
Not only in favor, you're the proponent, and you're saying that it's not moving because of the congressman. In the 18th Congress, there'll be a new committee, and we have arranged for meetings with them. And we're trying to understand what is the issue. Is it because it's omnibus? Should it be broken down into different things? When I talk to the rural bankers, they have a different perspective. You're saying that their problem is one of being in a different sector, therefore they do not understand microfinance.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
To some degree, most of our rural bankers do understand microfinance. In fact, one of our larger rural banks is two or three of our larger rural banks are involved in microfinance. Really, the barrier that the rural banks are finding in lending to microfinance is the number one is the past due. Although there's a 1-day past due and there's an 11-day cooling period, they said it's would be too tedious for them administrative wise. Now, in other forms, a lot of our rural banks really are not lending to microfinance anymore because, well, they're in it for the business of making money. So they find it more lucrative, if I may use the word, to look at other lending products. And we, in some of our banks, were used to lend to microfinance clients on the agri side, but again, the agri footprint is slowly shrinking. So they're looking for other avenues to earn money but help at the same time.
Yes,
but to answer your question, in general, most of our rural bankers do understand microfinance.
Okay, so if they understand and they're not lending and they're required to do it, remember, you're required to do this, right? You have no choice. The central bank has no say in the matter actually, right? Because it's there already. Anyway.
The mandatory credit allocation to MSMEs have already left last
Yes,
year, right?
yes.
And as Ms. Alice explained earlier, there have been efforts, especially from the DTI, to have this extended. But unfortunately, I think the Congress wasn't able to pass this.
But they don't like that because
And they
fiscally.
don't- and in fact, it's not a secret that the BSP has also some reservations when it comes to mandated credit.
Yes.
So because it has impact on the financial stability. So there are other
Yes.
aspects that are also affected by, that are part of our mandate that are affected by the imposition of mandated credit. But I don't know if the group is aware that the President has just signed the Philippine Innovation Act. Under this new law, and the target beneficiaries of this new law is the MSME, especially those that are involved in innovation and other startups and other innovative activities. There's also a mandatory credit component there. So I don't know if our BOP is already aware of this. So the law requires banks to set aside 4% of their total loanable funds. So it has just been signed. I don't know if the IRR obviously I think hasn't been crafted yet. BSP, once the IRR is prepared and published, BSP will of course have to craft the regulations to implement the requirements of the law.
RBAP is aware. We're just actually waiting for the IRR.
Isn't part of the problem with all of these things when it comes to banking is that deposit substitutes are allowed. So you don't actually have to lend, right? You have substitutes. That's part of the problem, I think. Because once you allow them to have substitutes, whether agri-agra or whatever, that's the easy way out, di ba?
I think the former Governor Espinilla, used to say lending to the agri and MSME sector really requires imagination, because you can't do, it's a very difficult market. I think we have to acknowledge that. And also I think we also have to acknowledge that the government has also been doing its part to make sure that this sector becomes bankable. So we always like to say that this issue is actually, the challenge is actually twofold. So there's the demand side challenge. When we talk of demand side challenge, we talk of the lack of bankability of the sector. It's very difficult to find bankable projects, especially in the agri market. And then they're also quite reluctant to actually engage in banks. So, I mean, they don't even make an effort to engage the banks. On the supply side, the banks aren't really that familiar with the market. The MSME market is so diverse. They're involved in so many industries, so there's no one size fits all when it comes to MSME financing. And learning to understand this market takes investment and effort. And some banks, knowing that this is a low margin, high risk market, just don't make the effort and investment to really understand this market. So I think if we have to address the access to MSME, access to finance of the MSMEs, we really have to look at both demand and supply side challenge. And I think the laws, as I think Sir Jerry mentioned, the laws have been put in place, like the credit information system. All these market enabling infrastructure are being put in place just recently, the secure transactions framework. But I think what's lacking is maybe the effective implementation of these programs. So the legal framework is there. What's needed is really making sure that they're implemented properly.
Let me interject my 2 cents as part of the problem. I think part of the problem is that government and the banks keep talking about MSMEs. I think you should talk about micro and then SMEs. Once you combine them, you change the color of the conversation. And I think that's part of the problem. And so this year, if no one objects, we intend to push very hard for a misunderstanding of MSMEs. BCY's position is very clear. You cannot keep talking about MSMEs because what is good for SMEs may not be good for micro. The second problem we think is that once cottage was removed and NACIDA was closed, there became a gap. Your minimum capital size for small and medium is too high compared to a micro. And then my third 2 cents worth, if you like, is that the people in government forget that this is still business. And therefore, we have to take care of the financial institutions like the rural banks because they cannot absorb the losses that are essential to this type of business. When you talk about micros, you should accept that maybe 90, 95, 97% will go bankrupt within 72 months or less. Therefore, when the government that's why I've been telling Jerry, you better do your research well because your problem is this is business. So first you combine them with small and medium, which has a totally different complexion when it involves innovation. What innovation are you going to talk about if it's vending and crafts, right? So that's one problem. And then your second problem is that the nature of business is businessmen fail and they have to keep trying. And so when we encourage them, we cannot penalize the financial institution and tell them, you have to lend so much. That's why I asked about substitutes. Because if I'm a bank, I'll keep buying substitutes. Why will I take the risk? Right? I mean, I used to sit on boards of banks. I stopped because my advocacy, which is micro, I understand them, and I cannot go against them because I know that they have to protect their institutions. So, sorry, Alice, you wanted to say something, yeah?
Thank you, Sir Tony, for your comments. We're happy to report that, in fact, most of the programs that we are implementing in DTI are leaning towards micro-enterprises. Karamihan po, bihira po talaga ang small. It's really micro-enterprises that are benefiting from our programs in DTI because we know for a fact that it's the sector that needs the help of government for them to level up to being small and then growing to medium, then maybe someday medium to large. So I've mentioned a while ago the P3 that we are implementing. So that's really for micro-enterprises. It's a 3 billion program. And then even the capacity building programs that we are implementing, almost 99% of our participants in the capacity building programs are micro-enterprises. And then also to add to the laws that have been recently passed, I think this has been mentioned a while ago, yung Personal Property Security Act. So under this law, banks are now allowed to accept alternative collaterals aside from yung real property. So andyan we have the accounts receivable, marine inventory, and then intellectual property. So these are already acceptable collaterals.
Sige, thank you, Alice. But you know, without that law, financial institutions have been doing that already. I mean, just because there's a law doesn't mean it has improved the situation. I was not commenting on focus. Focus is a decision of the Secretary and the President. They do what they like. As a citizen, I have no problem with that. All I'm saying is that let us be realistic and understand. This is not about how much you do. This is about understanding the nature of the animal. Diba? And remember, when we talk of microfinance, we're talking about two very different spheres, right? We have the institutions, then we have the entrepreneurs. The institutions and the entrepreneurs do not have the same objective. We want them to, but they don't. The microfinance institutions have questions of capital, stability, liquidity, etc., like any other financial institutions. And that's why the central bank should be tough on them. I mean, if I'm the regulator, I'll be tougher than the central bank. Because I want to tell them, pinasukan mo yan eh. If you make a mistake, go bankrupt. Why should I save you? Losing money is part of life. That's my view. So when the government does it, through ACPC, to other institutions, to DTI, I think the average citizen, my students, people outside, they have to thank the government because the government is doing something which it should do. Now the question is to remember that it's business. That's my problem. And not to penalize banks when they buy substitutes, because since I used to be an active accountant working in the banking group, when they ask me, I always say, why do you want banks or other intermediaries to behave other than their nature? You should not get upset. I mean, that's their job. So, government, I'm saying, Alice, please consider that you have a problem of defining what you're doing. Kasi you mentioned, for example, with all due respect, you say, microfinance, moving up and leveling up to SME. Why? There are many wonderful people who will be very happy having one store, taking care of the families. And unlike Mildred and I and Ed, have more time for their families than we do. I'm always envious that these small businessmen seem to have bigger smiles than I have. And I talk to them and they tell me, my apo is like this already. And I'm thinking, when was the last time I talked to my apo? So I think in a democracy, in a capitalist system like ours, that is fine. And I think in a policy discussion like this, my 2 cents contribution, being one of the old people here, my classmates are 74 years old, is that perhaps there is a way. Kasi, for example, sidetrack lang, the president has a nice program called Pantawid, but you've just screwed up the system when you do something like that. It's wonderful. I was telling my friend here, if I'm the one, I'm DTI, you know what I would do? I will ask for 100 billion every year for 3 years for this sector. Why are you fooling around with small numbers? And then you claim it's the biggest sector of society. We have how many trillion in our budget? And how much of it goes to salaries? Diba? 60% na ba? 65% ang salary ngayon? Puro MOE na. Diba? At least that's part of our problem, diba? When I was here, shock ako eh. I have a budget, but all of it goes to salaries. Wala para akong program money. Diba? So I have to talk to USAID, etc. in order to have project. This is true, diba? Okay. What does... Yes, ma'am.
Already.
Excuse me, ma'am. By the way, we're taping all conversations. I hope you have no objections. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that what Ms. Alice was saying is that the agencies are helping are capacitating micro entrepreneurs to grow. Those who have formalized themselves, I'm sure would like to grow. Otherwise, doon na lang sila sa informal and be happy and, have all the time they need for family and business. But I think that those who have formalized would like to grow. So that is what the DTI and PhilExport and the other business organizations are doing, capacitating the small, the micro, and etc. Of course, we recognize that there are different programs needed for micro, small, and medium because ang laki, I also agree, ang laki nung difference nung micro sa medium, for example, sa small and sa medium. That's why even at Congress, ang hirap i-justify yung medium, lumping it with the micro and small because they're 100 million in assets. So, yeah, that's a problem. And then secondly, yung DTI budget, we have been also talking with Congress to help DTI, no? Kasi 4 billion budget a year, what can that do? In fact, 12 billion monitoring budget for CCT or P4, what's that? For peace. The monitoring budget for 4Ps program is even bigger, 12 billion and growing than the DTI budget of 4-5 billion. What can that do? So I don't know why the DTI budget has been stuck at 3 to 4 billion every year, but that is really a big problem because they're the ones helping the micro. No? Buti nga ang DOST medyo malaki-laki pa yung budget. But yung DTI talagang na-stuck na siya sa 3-4 billion a year. So yun po yung problem. And then, on the Magna Carta, I think that although may concerns and reservations, I think there had been some agreements settled at the Congress level in the last Congress, no? Whether they like it or not, nag-agree, for example, yung mga provisions in the current version. And a very big development there is weaning away SB Corporation from the regulatory cover of the Bangko Sentral. Bangko Sentral already agreed because there are no public funds at the SB Corporation anyway, so that will be a big leap forward for the micro and the small constituents of SB Corporation. So the hurdle is at the Senate, which is so busy conducting hearings and scandals, but at the Congress level, that has been approved already. So we suppose that that version will be carried over in this Congress, and we are ready to champion that version. So, of course, in fact, at PhilExport, we have given up on commercial banks because we understand that these are really businesses. We understand that these are really businesses. But at the same time, who will help the micro? Who can help them grow? So ano yan, parallel na programs. Now, we are capacitating the micro and the small so that they can become more bankable. And at the same time, we hope that the banks will be more open-minded to assist them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, you had a bank, di ba, na binenta nyo? I was there at the beginning. Tinawagan ako ni June Ortiz Luis, tsaka ni Donald. So I know what's happening there. You know, I have a question. Is it useful to bring back the concept of cottage or not? As a bridging category between micro and small? Is that a worthwhile conversation? Because remember, what is the definition of micro? Wala pa yata ang 1 million di ba?
No, up to 3 million.
Micro na ngayon ang 3 million?
Up to 3 million.
So that will be 1/10 of 1% of the total or something like that. Okay, so let's say 3 million. Ano yung lowest level for small?
3 million 1. Up to 15 million. Up to 15 million.
And then yung medium?
And then hanggang 100 million.
51.
Yes. 15 up to 100. So that's big.
Parang hindi
no?
realistic sa merkado yan, ano?
I'm sorry.
Pang medium siguro dapat nasa 200
yun. Dapat
million. Hindi na realistic mga numero, no?
Dapat nakahiwalay.
How can you be a medium business at 50 million? That's $1 million. That's nothing. I mean, from a banking point of view, di ba? Or business point of view. How much business can you do with $1 or $2 million? I can't understand. No, $1 million, 50 million pesos. You have to look at $1 million because you're competing across ASEAN, across. I mean, I think the government should review all of this definition because our problems, I think, partly start because we have the wrong categories of capital that we're looking at. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for mentioning yung definition of MSMEs. Kasi in defining MSMEs, we also benchmark with other ASEAN and APEC countries. And the definition that we currently have is still at par with other ASEAN and APEC countries. We recognize the fact that we cannot have a common definition across APEC and ASEAN because we have different levels of development. But at least medyo kasi pag tinaasan pa namin yung micro and small, parang ala Singapore na ang definition. That's why we are trying to maintain the definition for now. And in fact, in 2012, we did consult, ata si Ma'am Lisa Leo, doon sa consultation on definition of MSMEs, and we came to a parang agreement that for now, we will still maintain the definition. And then for cottage enterprises, siguro for program purposes lang yun kasi we cannot use cottage naman as a definition or category because across APEC and ASEAN, medyo it doesn't define a size. So talagang micro, small, medium ang ginagamit nila. Siguro cottage is just a parang qualitative description of our enterprises.
Thank you. Ako as a citizen, I get upset when my government worries what the other countries are saying. This is our country. We look at what is good for our countrymen and our businesses. If it is not the same as other countries, as a foundation, my position is to help with the other countries. Why do we worry about them when we have so many Filipinos that we need to help? Because the definition will be different. Because they will tell us we're not following them. It's like when people tell me, business yan, bakit yun? But we're a capitalist economy. Unless you want to be socialist or communist, we have to respect people making money. I mean, I think the philosophical basis and the theoretical framework is problematical to me as somebody in the academy. But of course, this is don't worry, I know we cannot change that. I'm just giving you hinagpis lang on my part. Anyway, to continue the conversation, DOST is doing microfinance. Why is it doing it when DTI is already doing it? Are you competing with DTI?
Sir, support program lang naman ng DOST yon to DTI for MSMEs. So, hindi naman kami nagpapautang talaga. It's for availment of technology for machines.
Meron bang negosyong walang equipment? Ay, sorry. Side comment. No, because I'm involved with you, so I know the ano. Ma'am, what is DBP actually doing in this field of microfinance? Sabi mo you lend to institutions, di ba? So there is no direct involvement with micro in effect, ano?
I'm sorry, no. I've only joined DBP a few years ago. So I was only thrust into financial institutions the other year. So basically, I can speak for myself. I lend to financial institutions like they are a client
who in turn lend to the SMEs. So that's how we help. But I do know that we have programs, and our president and board are very, they really want us to develop financial inclusion. And so we're developing all these lending programs, which I may not be a part of, but the bank is a part of, if that's clear to you.
Yeah, no, my question was more, there is a group called MCPI, right? These are many of the main financial institutions. I understand that. So I always ask those we talk with, if MCPI is a partner of DTI, then all government institutions should be supporting MCPI and working with them rather than, kasi iba yung bibigay sa Radio Wealth or whatever, iba yung bibigay sa mga MCPI members because they're the true microfinance institutions who are recognized in the programs of DTI. I guess you're familiar with MCPI, or no?
Actually, I'm not.
You should, because those are all the leading microfinance institutions in the Philippines. Diba? They're the ones who are trying to comply with all the central bank regulations. Otherwise, they cannot be members of MCPI. Sila nagtutulak ng compliance eh.
If I may add, DBPB is mandated to be working for MSMEs. So just last year, we launched one of the newest program, the Small Business Puhunan Loan Program. It actually caters to the micro enterprises, wherein the loan process or procedure is somehow easier para makakater sa micro enterprises, and they could loan up until 1 million, given the fact that micro enterprises can own is categorized until up to 3 million naman.
So how many have borrowed under that program?
Unfortunately, ang baba pa ng turnover nung
How many?
portfolio.
1, 2, 10?
Less than 20.
Yeah, because ang problema is misunderstanding ang micro-entrepreneurs. Micro-entrepreneurs do not have the capacity to submit applications to anybody. That's why I keep talking about institutions. Work with MCPI, that works with the MFI, work with the Rural Bankers Association. Once you go direct to the micro-entrepreneurs, this is beautiful, but you better take pictures of all of those na ma-approve nyo because kokonti lang yan. And by the way, by the time they apply with you, meaning they can afford either consultants or employees, hindi na sila micro. Papunta na sila to another level. No, I mean, di ba, we're talking policy. That's why I think we have to stop lumping micro with small and medium talaga. By the way, is there a place for all micro programs? May listahan tayo. All programs that help micro. Not as MSME, but as micro lang. Alam ko walang separate listing eh. Oh, can we do that? Yeah, Is it possible to ask everyone concerned to email us anything that you do with micro-entrepreneurs and microfinance institutions, just so we can have one place for all of this data? Kasi ngayon naka-lump siya with MSME. Is that possible? Excuse me, ma'am. Sa DBP, sir, sa DBP, is it possible to get data related to microfinance programs, projects, successes, failures, training programs, anything to do with micro? Kasi we've been looking, where is the one place where we can get all of this? We cannot find. Palaging MSME ang lump. So ang gagawin ni Jojo doon is to ask you to join a Viber group if it's okay with you and just post it on Viber, which we will then open to all the institutions because wala pang ganyan na lugar, di ba? For all the micro lang, not MSME. So I think it's a useful exercise, di ba? Pwede ba yun? Kasi that is the data, by the way, that we intend to discuss with the House and Senate committees involved in this. Micro only. We will not... Yeah, sorry.
I think there may be a problem because of the data privacy.
No, what we will do is anybody involved with the data, we will seek clearance. We do not know anybody who will not say yes. No, kasi data privacy does not mean hindi pwede. It means mag-request ka ng permission.
Exactly. We have
okay,
to
re-request tayo ng permission.
I'm not in a position to to say no if we have the
No,
information
we're just asking you to
available.
consider it.
I will have to find out
Please, oo.
from senior management who, if we have the data, up to what extent it is available, what consents are needed. I really have no
It's okay.
idea. We'll have
The
to
only
find
reason
out.
I'm mentioning that and the other things na Alice I've been mentioning is I've now watched 2 roundtables. There is no follow through. Nothing happens. So the first thing we'd like to happen with your consent is we will involve people in a discussion of what should be for micro lang. Whether that's institutional supports to Radio Wealth or whoever. Secondly, we want to collect all the data in one place, even if we only find out one thing, which is walang data. That's why we will bring in the schools naman to help us do the research. So you don't have to spend for it. Kami na lang gagastos. We will do a nationwide survey on anything micro. Just tell us what information you need. We will include it in our survey. We will bring in 80 major universities into this survey.
But sir, what is the information you need from us?
No.
EBP.
No, we don't know what you have. So we're only asking a generic question. Do you have data you can share? Or is there data that you would like us to help generate for you so your policy work and your other activities can be better informed? We're offering you free studies, free research. So anyone who has an idea related to micro, we'd like you to say it now so we can then include it in the design, like what should be done for the agri side, diba? Or fisheries only. Or we are prepared to help you with any survey that you want. Kasi everybody keeps telling me data, okay. Gagawa kami ng major research. I mean, if we can support a 20-year study, siguro naman we can do this study. This is far simpler. And when you talk to schools like La Salle, Ateneo, marunong naman sila. In fact, what we propose is never as good as what they end up doing. Kasi they say, can we add this? Can we add that? Which is wonderful. And since they don't have to worry about budget, diba? I'm sure Central Bank wants data. Why don't you ask us? We will help you generate the data. We will get all the privacy clearances. Siyempre, in the schools, we're very conscious of teaching that. So, it's just a request that internally you check and whatever you can, or you say we cannot share anything. So we know that's part of the problem. And we will ask the people in Congress and Senate to address that. Because remember, you cannot say it's a law or regulation. All laws and regulations can be modified. And all of us are just trying to help a sector that we all claim is very important to our economy. So we want to move from a discussion, but still policy, right, to actual recommended steps. So far we've discussed 2 things. I don't know if the body agrees. One is maybe we should look at micro separately, although it's part of MSME. And the second thing we're suggesting is maybe it's time to generate information just on micro. We don't know what the results will be. We don't know if it will help policy, but at least no one can claim they don't have the data. And if we take 1 year until the next roundtable, I think we should have enough time to do this. Kasi remember, most of the tertiary schools are only opening July, August, September. So perfect timing for us. Hindi na kami mostly June konti na lang ang June Of course, if DBP says there's no need or we will respect that. Diba? That's why we're happy you're here. Kasi we don't want to make suggestions without telling people that those are our suggestions. But kami, as a foundation, we are committed to research. We don't want to talk without research. Without research, it's, ano ba tawag dyan? Blue sky, dreaming, suntok sa buwan, kayabangan, ano ba yan? Yan. Yes, ma'am.
I believe that Land Bank mentioned that they do lend to micro.
Yung data niya sinabing 30,000 plus is mainly SMEs.
It's not only micro.
No, mostly SMEs yan. Yes, go ahead. Sir, kunin mo yun. Yeah.
The data I mentioned earlier is composed of micro and SMEs. So I would like to highlight one of the programs of Land Bank. It's called Ascenso. And for us to know if where this program is catered to, well, the maximum loanable amount under this program is only 5 million. So based on 5 million, I guess you can figure out what particular sector this is aimed to. Okay, so aside from that science of program, we also have OFW reintegration program. So this is for individual, so mga OFWs na gustong bumalik ayaw na umalis. So 300,000, 500,000, pwede ho yan. Okay, so micro yan.
So how many have you lent to?
Thousands, and the total aggregate amount, hundreds of millions na rin.
So, importante yung data yun, di ba? We'll
Yes,
find out
yes.
bakit. By the way, alisin mo yung from 3 to 5 million. Kasi hindi raw kasama eh.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. Kasi kailangan consistent tayo in our definition.
Ano ang 3 to 5 million?
No. Ang definition ng micro is up to 3 million
3
lang.
million.
So, yung mga lampas ng 3, kasi up to 5 yun sa'yo eh.
So 3 million is the asset of the micro. Di ba asset yon? So kahit 3 million lang ang asset mo, what I'm saying, sir, is that kahit micro ka, maximum loanable amount mo is up to 5
okay. I
million.
misunderstood. Yeah, okay. I misunderstood.
And aside from the OFW reintegration program, so mga backyard farming, pwede ho yan. Backyard piggery, pwede ho yan. So mga tao-tao yan. Aside from that, a sense of program, of course, related sa agriculture, marami ho kami dyan, I guess.
Oh, land bank kayo?
Yes. So, mga maliliit lang ho yan. And, I guess it depends on the data you are asking.
Anything and everything.
Hindi ho po
Anything and
pwede yun.
everything
I'm
micro.
telling
Kasi
you
we
right
don't know
now,
what we
hindi ho
don't know
pwede
eh.
yun. Hindi ho pwede yun. I'm telling you right
No,
now. Kasi
then you
meron
say ito
tayong-
pwede, ito hindi pwede. Walang
Meron ho
problema.
tayong data privacy act.
No. We're asking you to ask clearance so you can share the data.
So I thought you were going to ask clearance.
No. Kayo kasi kliyente nyo yun. You can ask your client, can we share the data? Kasi hindi naman kailangan individual names. Aggregate data lang naman kailangan nating malaman eh.
So that's why I
Anong
mentioned,
geography, anong klaseng industry.
That's why I mentioned earlier, it depends on the type,
No, yun nga.
of
Why
the
don't
kind
you,
of data.
yeah, why
are
don't you
asking.
suggest what is possible? We leave it to you kasi I'm not here naman to tell you what to do eh. This is just a policy discussion.
If it's generic, okay lang ho yun kasi napapublish naman yun sa annual report eh. Ang bawal lang yung up to the account level.
Even at the account level, some will agree. Then
But
we
the
have
BSP
examples.
will not.
Then we will have examples.
The BSP will not agree kasi batas ho yan eh.
No.
That's data for...
somebody from sharing their own data. I don't think so. Choice nyo ng borrower eh.
I think that data privacy covers mga personal information.
Yes,
so as long as
correct.
the data are anonymized and then
Correct.
By the way, with all due respect, chinek ko yan before coming here.
Yes.
Any individual can share what they like, even if it's embarrassing for them, so long as they need clearance. It is not true there is any real privacy, only for those who want privacy.
Correct. That is correct. If they choose to, the borrower.
But that's what we're saying eh. Can you choose to please share? And then check mo yung ayaw mo. Kasi, I mean, ang problema lang natin is, I'm only presenting a question. Pwedeng zero naman. None of you can give. Walang problema yon. I'm just saying, kung pwede, maybe we can start understanding why ganito nangyayari sa sector na ito. Because when I'm with your bosses, they keep telling me, we have no data on this. Sabi ko, but you're not asking. Now, if we ask and everybody says wala, then we go to the next step. Create a research program to generate the data, which we will support. Diba? We don't need any money from government. We're not asking for anything. Cooperation lang. Diba? But first, we have to know what is available. Now, if all that's available is confidential, wala naman kami sasabihin eh. Diba? We respect that. But at least we've gone through the process. So later, pag yung data na ginawa namin, ayon yun, sasabihin namin, wala kaming choice eh. We have to start from zero eh. Whereas if you are able to share whatever it is, we have a starting point. Now, you have the mechanism to ask every single borrower for privacy clearance. Madali lang yun with soft, email, madali yan eh. Now, whether they do it or not, it's okay. Kasi yung akin lang, my only point in this long conversation is, can we look at doing research in this area of micro-entrepreneurship and microfinance. Yun lang ang aking sinasabi. Kung ang sabihin nyo hindi, okay, let's move on. Marami pang ibang topics naman. Wala nang problema. Oh, you wanted to, yes,
Yeah, sir,
I think it would, yeah, I think it would be good if we can generate data on the credit demand among these small and micro enterprises for the guidance of the credit suppliers like banks.
According to height.
I just want also to share that there's an ongoing, actually BSP is studying the conduct of a nationwide demand side survey of MSMEs to really help also the banks, as sir mentioned, understand the market, help segment the market so they can create responsive products for them and for the policymakers to actually deliver targeted interventions.
You hired a consultant to do that?
We haven't, sir, but we're conceptualizing.
No, because we can help you. We have a core group of 80 universities nationwide, and they're your best known schools. We can ask them because kami, we're prepared to give everyone a research grant.
Yes, sir.
So seryoso kami, no? But the only thing we ask is we segregate micro from the rest of the research.
Yeah, definitely that's part of the
Yeah.
objective.
So if you don't mind, we can ask, maybe si Ed can sit down with you and we can look at what we can do on the micro side, ano eh, with the central bank. What do you think? Because you know what you want to do. We are just adding to it. The only difference is we have a bigger grassroots reach than even the entire government. Because we have more than 700,000 students, our core group. Pwede na, no? Marami-rami na rin, no? No, there are 33 million students in the Philippines. I don't know if you know that. Did you know that? There are 33 million students this year. Oh, I'm only talking about tapping those whose enrollment is about 600,000 to 700,000 students. If 1% help us, malaki na survey sample natin, di ba? Bigger than any SWS survey. Kaya lang, we need to do it with your permission para very clear yung intent, para we get the right data. Now, kung hindi naman, it's okay. Kasi after a policy conversation, we can agree to see each other next year na lang, di ba? Wala nang problema yan eh. Yes, ma'am.
I think that will be a very good initiative, no, to have that data on the micro enterprises. And a rich source would be the Cooperative Development Authority, which is under the DTI. And yun. So that's a very rich source because maraming micros doon. And I know of some experiences of these cooperatives, best practices, no? The SB Corporation has been dealing with them. Most of them are micros, and they have grown. A number that I've interviewed and talked with have grown to become small because they were given financing, they were monitored, they were handheld. Talaga namang handholding ang mga micro and small. So I'm saying there is hope naman, and government and private sector are doing its best to handhold the MSME so that banks will see them as partners and not as nuisance or something. All right.
Ma'am, you better say something kasi your name was given in vain. I mean, was mentioned in CDA. May ano tayo? Mike? Ang CDA ba DTI o part of the Office of the President? DTI na siya. So mas maganda, mas madali ang ano.
Sir, under the law is Office of the President, but now we are under the DTI. Yeah.
You're not happy with that?
No, we're happy. We're happy with the DTI, of course. We have data on micro cooperatives. Obviously, we have data, and in our regulation, we have to separate really micro. So we have projects for micro. So yung pag may mga project kami, it's nakaseparate talaga yung micro. So our projects on, for example, the small brother, big brother. The micro cooperatives are the small brothers to be helped by the big brothers, the small, medium, and large cooperatives.
No,
So we have-
that's great. But do you have clearance to share data?
Yes, this is published in our website. Aggregate data
We can also ask you to find examples of successes, ganon,
of micro cooperatives.
micro.
Oo.
Can we get, oh, sige. So,
Yes.
later, we can ask you to send us the data on a current basis, ano?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
sir.
sige, okay. Anyway, those who can give data, please give us. Basta kami, we will consolidate without comment. Kasi we have not done any research. Anything submitted, we will just present it in a readable form. And then as people submit, we will do it. We'll do everything lang to a simple Viber account. So if you want to join, you're welcome. If you don't, walang problema. Yes, ma'am.
We have to define what data we need, right? So, but we have data on banks' exposure to MSMEs. Those are published in our reports.
Segregated yung micro, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, yun lang portion on micro.
BSP pala would have it.
Yes. Later kasi you need very specific examples. But for now, any aggregate data, you have it, people don't read it. Let's just share it there so they can read it.
Yeah.
We will share kasi that Viber site with a core group of more than 300 universities. 350 universities. We want the universities looking at this kasi because we intend to, ayan pala, that's the fourth thing. We intend to suggest to them that they include micro-entrepreneurship as part of their business courses. Kasi kami, we can make representation kasi with CHED, whatever, with TESDA. I met already with the TESDA Director General. Sabi ko, kailangan pag vocational school, may micro. So, nag-agree si Director General La Peña, no? So, we can do things like that with CHED. We can help you on the, even on the banking, you know, hindi nila naintindihan ang banking system ng Pilipinas. The Bangko Sentral should do something about that. And if you like, kasi kami, we just don't talk. We can prepare the curriculum. We can identify the subjects. We can look at the number of contact hours. Kasi when you talk in general, the schools don't know what to do. But if you do it like that, yung practical, ano yung syllabi? Anong gagawin mo first sem, second sem? Which subject do you enter? Suddenly, madali siya. And that is something we can do, whether it's sa agri, whether sa banking, micro. Please take advantage kasi I was national president of the Association of all the higher education schools in the Philippines for 5 years. They elected me in absentia. So when I showed up, hindi na ako na-elect. So 5 years lang ako national president. But so these schools I know want to help the country. And we know which state universities are very good in research also. So suggestion ko lang, and if you think of any other topic, let's say developmental banking, ganun, sabihin nyo lang, baka we can do more research than your budget allows. Di ba? Even if we have to pay researchers from school, mura yung compared to, especially if you have to be international, gano'n, di ba? Kami, kausap lang nila my foundation. Kasi malaki yung aming research program. So we can help land bank, we can, sabihin nyo lang, we're in every single city and town in the Philippines, by the way. That's why malakas ang loob naming mag-recognize ng 1,600 hometown heroes every year. Diba? Yun ang aming ano eh. That's why we're happy to bring in Rotary, but we're willing to recognize one per town or city. Take advantage of that network, please. Diba? Oh, kasi you're not in every town or city, we are. Oh. So, ma'am, thank you for that. We look forward to receiving ano, and then maybe working with you. Oh, we're trying to convince the students kasi to put up cooperatives. Diba? There are not that many na successful. Oh, pero hindi regular co-op. Oo, hindi dapat ano eh, dapat regular. Let them learn ano. Yeah. Sige ma'am, ano, just si Jojo lahat yan. That's why she's the only overworked person sa amin. Sa kanya lang bumabagsak. Sige. May I ask no, what you think of what we just talked about from the role banking ano? Okay ba yan? May data din kayo, di ba?
Actually, sir, mas nagsasubmit sa ang mga rural banks namin ng data sa BSP. because sa association, we are not requiring our members to really... Wala, sir. Pero sir, in terms of the rural banks naman, we are really lending sa micro businessmen naman, but not on a micro entrepreneur, yung microfinance in the true terms of microfinance. In fact, galing ko Batangas 2 weeks ago, we did a partner ng RBAP. We were talking to the clients sa isang rural bank. Lahat sila micro pero not really sa microfinance. The rural banks would still be continuing to lend to our microfinance, would like to lend to microfinance entrepreneurs. Kaya lang, syempre, like what you said, mas malaki yung losses eh. So kung merong incentive, I don't know, from government, or I don't know if it's monetary or a rewards points, I don't know, mas maiinganyo yung mga bangko ko na bumalik sa microfinance. Kasi nung araw, nagma-microfinance na makaramihan ng mga yan.
Thank you. Is that a worthwhile conversation pa rin? Incentives for rural banks? Hindi na. Di ba allergic kayo sa incentives, di ba? No, seriously, di ba? Ganun eh. But how do you get them to be involved?
Parang,
ang daming rural banks, di ba?
We are 443 nationwide, but our total, ang footprint namin in terms of branches, lahat ng branches ng rural bank is about 2,700 from Region 1 to Region 12, excluding pa NCR.
Actually, one of the parang strategic thrust of the BSP is really enabling the rural financial institutions, rural banks, in embracing digital technology as a as a way. Iba na to, but it should be part of the conversation because the opportunity is there. So, and we know how digital technology can impact the delivery of financial services. We know how the efficiencies it's bringing, all these potential. But if our rural banks and the very institutions that have the mission to really serve the countryside and the low-income sector don't have the capacity, so that's a wasted opportunity, capital. So BSP is actually working with development partners. I'll mention the ADB. They're coming up with a technology matching grant to help rural banks. So they're going to provide capital for rural banks to adopt new technologies to help them come up with better products for the low-income segment. So that's a very tangible program.
I'm just curious, if 500 universities and colleges said, we will all create microfinance education and financing programs, is there money from the central bank for that?
Not from the BSP, but there are a lot of development partners looking at opportunities.
Have you ever looked at the schools as a delivery mechanism?
Actually, the BSP has a partnership with the DOF, the DepEd, together with the BDO Foundation.
But that's the wrong group. DepEd is only until high school.
And then they're also looking at CHED. They've just recently launched yung partnership with the Civil Service Commission to develop education programs for target groups. So for civil service, the civil servants, DepEd obviously students. So I think the CHED is still in the pipeline. That it's definitely open for all. So we're happy to take on new partnerships, and that's all actually the thrust to provide mga education material.
No, but there has to be money. You cannot just train and then not have the money available for those you train.
Yeah, that's why the BDO Foundation, I think they provide the money for.
How much money are they providing? 2 billion? 10 billion?
I'm not too sure about.
No, kasi unless you're in the billion, you have no program.
Nothing comes to the BSP, so they develop, they spend for the program.
No, kasi I'm familiar with their programs kasi. Their numbers are too small. The problem is big, all the solutions are small. Then everybody has their own little, By the way, if you do a CHED program, they will have their favorite schools. You have to talk to the private associations. Our total membership is 10,000 private schools. Malaki na ba yun? Yes. No, I was national president, so I know the membership. Yes. Yes, kasi kami, we've been talking to them and we've been telling them, but they ask us and I said, if BCYF does it, I can probably put up money for 5 schools. I mean, yeah, kasi we run camps where, and we're trying to bring it now all the way to the level of the senior high school. But if you go through one of my Yaman camps, there is money if we approve it. We use the Shark Tank approach. Are you familiar with that? So Shark Tank kami. 2 days lang. So let us say may 500, baka makalusot 3. Pero totoong evaluation, matututo ka. But if they pass, may pera. Kahit na estudyante ka, you can get up to 40,000. Kung graduate ka, up to 200,000 per project. So obviously, we have a limit to what we can do. And yet, you'd be surprised, once you do it a few years, pagandang proposal. Paganda na. Some of these I started 9 years ago. I'm shocked at the quality. And we don't care if your English is good or bad. It's all about the business proposition. Kahit na palpak ng communication skills mo, it doesn't matter to us. Even if you don't talk, it's okay. Show us what you prepared. And you may want to consider that as part of the micro enterprise thing. Microfinance is totally different kasi these are banking institutions. Pero at the micro entrepreneur level, I think the schools should be considered. Diba?
That the new innovation bill act pala is really trying to develop that whole innovation ecosystem, tapping schools and other research facilities. So they're going to put up an innovation fund, I think to the tune of 1 billion to finance mga ganitong like what you're doing for school. So I think it's good to also start thinking about how this act can be further.
Just to follow the sidetrack into education, maliit yan Like DOST and I are talking about AI for education because kami lang ang involved in AI for education. We actually have robots being used in classrooms. But the first phase is 500 million already, and we're not bothering with the government. So obviously there's a problem, and that's one small lab of less than 20 square meters. It's all in the people that have to be flown in with the expertise, because you can't reinvent the wheel, diba? I think you have to change the scale you look at, because imagine 10,000 private schools, 300 plus public universities and colleges. Of the 10,000 private schools, ang seryoso dyan mga 400. You should know who are those 400. Diba? Kasi there are some, they can be universities and colleges, but they're not ready for that. There are some, they call themselves institutes. Diba? Institute lang, pero magaling sila. Yeah. But if your people will contact Jojo, I can arrange a meeting. I will invite the representatives of the Catholic, Protestant, etc. Because I know who are the ones who are interested to be in microfinance. And I think any microfinance institution, any micro-entrepreneur, dapat alam nila sino yung mga yan. Diba? Alice, alam mo ba yung SBI, Small Business Institute? Hindi na, no? When I was the bureau director, we created Small Business Institute. I only created 2. By the way, they're still alive. We created them more than 30 years ago. One is at Bicol University. The other one is in Central Philippine University. They still exist. And the idea was the school is a better choice for educating people about business. You know how much each one got from us at that time, more than 30 years ago? 100,000. Today, those funds have grown to big amounts. Sabi ko, no free service. Kahit na micro ka, you claim to be poor, magbabayad ka pa rin ng training. Walang free training. At lahat ng training may test. Pag bumagsak ka sa test, hindi ka iimbitahin for 1 year. Next year ka na. Take training seriously kasi that's part of our problem. Nagte-train tayo, hindi tayo nagte-test. We don't know if they learn anything. Imagine, I was doing that as Minister of Trade and Industry. Of course, iba nun martial law di ba? But I think that is part of the problem, di ba? There is no merit-based approach to anything. Tama? You train, you assume they learn. They attend a meeting, very good. They can participate in the program. May mga masigasig that should not be assisted. Di ba? Anyway, I'm looking at that young lady over there at the end from Makati. Do you want to contribute something? You're managing director of something you said, right? Baka you want to comment about microfinance, microentrepreneurship. You have to pay for your merienda and lunch.
Anyway, I'm just also observing the discussion or other insights that may arise in this roundtable discussion, as it may also aid in terms of the public consultation this coming week, I guess, at the UP College of Law regarding the IRR as well. That will be also supervised, or I may not use the appropriate term for this time, but under the DOF as well. In regards with that, the personal security I cannot recall as of the moment the topic directly, but I might as well participate if I have the leeway of time to go there aside from my different schedule. By the way, I'm managing partner in terms of a private industry based in Makati, but we're still on the restructuring stage. But we're focusing on the lending services as well. And also, in terms of the recently implemented law regarding the startup, in giving incentives and related matters to that matter, it is one way of encouraging as well other people to have those innovative solutions in relating with the policies. But in terms of the inclusiveness of other sectors, we might as well consider the civil society or the religious sector in terms of involving on providing the solutions aside from the academic aspect, the private sector, the public sector, the government, and also the legislative, since we are in that ecosystem that we must have those contributing our values or specializations, so we can also address the issues accordingly. Since every institutions, whether it may be in the public, private, multilateral sector or organizations, we can also have their perspective as well in this roundtable discussion, so everyone will have that transparency for this matter. That's what I can say as of the moment, independently and regardless of the organization I may have been involved with. But also speaking in terms of the data privacy aspect that currently implementing in our country, which has a strict implementation in regards, it is true that the bank may have those restrictions of providing the necessary information that we may be needed as of the discussion of today. But there are also other information that you have also mentioned earlier that other people may have just exclusively or vulgar or publicly state their matters that is beyond the control of those parties involved or concerned. That's all I can say as of the moment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does Radio Wealth want to say anything? Any proposal on policy or anything? Sure. Sige.
It seems from Land Bank, from what Land Bank has said, from DBP, from the rural banks, because I think the loan limit that they are currently giving out for microloans is really high compared to what we give. Like for RFC, we only give a maximum of 100,000 for microloans. So my question is, how can we really reach out to those who are not able to provide documents, income proof, and lend to this sector? Because currently for RFC now, we are really doing or coming up with alternative documents, alternative ways to just lend to to the micro sector. So I think for some financing institutions, and to some extent also to the banks, that's really the challenge. How do we really go to that level and give? Of course, we want to get back what we lend, right? So, and that's really the challenge for everyone. And not just that, but also I think the KYC, how really do the KYC to these borrowers?
I'd like to speak on behalf of the rural bankers. We are looking forward to the implementation of the national ID system. Because sa amin sa mga rural bank, isa sa mga problema namin yung KYC. For example, we have a government institution, hindi ko na lang papangalanan, na ang hinahanap sa mga ID ng aming mga kliyente ay 4. Isa nga lang problema na 4 pa kaya. Pa kaya. Bubulong ko sa iyo mamaya, alam niyo yun. 4 or 3. So, hirap na hirap kami kasi marami kaming kliyente aming rural banks nasa rural area na kaya sila nagiging kliyente ngayon kasi yung family nila maganda yung history ng business sa bangko. So meron ng history So, ano pa ang kailangan ko kay YC? Lolo mo, tito mo, kabit ng lolo mo. hanggang ikaw, kapatid mo, kliyente na namin. Anong KYC pa kilala ka namin, alam namin ang bahay mo. Dilima kayo doon sa barangay. Pag nagtago ka, pag kulang yung tao doon, ikaw yung nawawala. So, ano pong KYC na strict process?
Yeah, I think we all understand that. Naintindihan natin.
Sir, isa na lang. Just to react to what you're saying. We really sa RBAP, we really support yung digitalization project ni late Governor Espinilla. And in fact, marami kami ngayong mga projects na ginagawa for the rural banking industry for fintech and digitalization. I mentioned kanina, a couple of weeks ago, nagpunta kami sa isang rural bank sa may Batangas. Nakausap namin mga kliyente nila who are micro to small. Ano ba ang kailangan nyo sa bangko for service improvement? Ang sabi nila, gusto namin pong mag-banking at saka mag-loan payment using ganito. So, nasa awareness na po nila yon. Bakit po? Tanong namin, kasi wala pong tatao sa tindahan pag umalis kami. Ayaw po namin, wala po kaming oras magpunta sa bangko. Kung meron naman po kaming, hindi ako nagpa-plug, kung meron naman po kaming Paymaya or GCash, na po pwede kong pambayad doon. Yun ang ginagamit po nila So, yun ang sinasabi ko, yun ang ginagamit nila. Pwede namin gamitin yun if yung rural bank ay may capability na. So, cognizant po yung industry na pangangailangan na yun.
Yes. By the way, you don't need my approval to talk. I begin to feel like a traffic enforcer. Just join the conversation.
Okay, in the case of Land Bank, although we are present in all provinces of the country, admittedly, lahat ng mga gustong mangutang hindi namin kayang puntahan yan. So what we do is we tap yung mga partners namin. Of course, we have RBAP and partner din tayo, hindi po ba? So yung mga financing institutions and yung mga cooperatives, nakikipag-partner po ang Land Bank dyan. Para, ang tawag namin dito, yung mga unbanked. So, yung mga unbanked na mga kababayan natin, magkakaroon ng presence ang Land Bank of the Philippines. Thank you.
Mag-join lang ako dun sa conversation. Well, okay yung plan dun sa information, isegregate yung micro with small and the other sector, no? Medium. Kanina, dinidiscuss yung what incentive can the loan provider get, dun sa high risk or whatever, no? That should be part of the market mechanism, You charge higher rate because the risk is higher, right? So, plus ang processing cost mo is higher, lending small, mataas ang processing cost, mataas ang risk. So naturally, ang charging mo higher than malaking loan na ang risk is mas mababa. So that's the only incentive I can think of, no? Yung idea nung nung 3-piece, 4-piece that is being done by SB Corp through DTI, I think. That's the intention is noble. I heard from the President, sabi niya, dapat mawala na yung mga Bombay. They're charging so high, so dapat ma-eliminate sila. And how do you eliminate? You should provide the alternative source, di ba? So here comes SB Corp doing it, no? Ang issue lang, are they really lending to the borrowers who cannot borrow at present? Kasi I was with Microfinace before. I have cooperative clients who can pay the interest that we're charging. But if government will offer 2%, 3%, even if the cost recovery is not there, they will go to the SB Corp. I was even looking at the regular program of SB Corp. The 3-piece or whatever is eating up on the regular accounts, transferring to that. Why? Because the regular loans they're charging what? 9% or higher, while this one is being charged 2% or lower. So are you really focusing on the target beneficiary of that lending program, or are the borrowers that can already pay the market rates are taking advantage of the government funds, when in fact these have been the funds that should be directed to those that cannot borrow? Rural banks are saying, there's risk. Sino ang magre-risk muna? But why not government? Government come in first, but develop niya, and then give it to the private sector, like the rural banks. I remember I was with Land Bank before. I was there for 10 years. When I was there, even co-ops, they have the hurdle. The criteria, you cannot just borrow. 3 years in operation, umikita ka, so on and so forth. So yung mga bagong tayo, they cannot borrow. Land Bank put up PCFC, Philippine Credit Finance Corporation. The idea was, those that cannot avail of the regular program can first go to PCFC. So get assistance there, and then later probably go to Land Bank. Kaya lang when they put up PCFC, the people that were assigned there came from Land Bank regular. And what they did was to copy the criteria of Land Bank, duplicate it to PCFC, helping the same, So it's the same. So how can the new or relatively new organizations avail when you have the same criteria, because you want to make it easier? Because if I'm concerned, if I'm the one handling it, and government, I should give leeway to this organization like SB Corp. They don't accept deposits. No? So you can, your risk appetite is higher because you don't have to take care of, withdrawals. So you can, even if the past due is higher, but since it is subsidized in a way, if you can help, 50%, 40% of your borrowers, later they become big, then you're already helping society in a way, And then later, give this to rural banks or to other lending institutions. Anyway, that's how I look at it.
Ed, I'll just tell you this. I chaired the meeting that created PCFC. I'm a founding member of the board. I left before the year was over because I thought we were going to do something different. And sabi ko kay Jing Lapus, I respect what you want to do. I'm not that bright. But we were meeting for 3.5 years in Malacanang. I chaired all those meetings. And there was no data. That's why now I realize data research, kailangan talaga, even if it's there, kailangan kunin mo. Anyway, we should ask those who are seated there for their comments. Pairamin mo nga yung Mike. I just want to make sure I wake everybody up before we adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Very insightful conversation we had. I believe we talk about the risk, we talk about the data which is correlated, we talk about the regulation framework which is already here, it's improving. BSP has been very, very supportive. We are talking about the students and the academic background backing the research, creating the data that will provide a better environment for all the stakeholders in the near future, which is a very, very positive impact. Now I want to talk about from a P2P or private fintech perspective. I think data privacy is obviously a problem, a good problem. It's a good problem. KYC, KYB, it's also a good problem to have. We are, as a lending company, financing company, invoice financing company, whatever you call it, trying to improve the KYC or the KYB onboarding process. But at the same time, we are improving the risk management side of the KYC in order to provide a more accurate data for all of us. So technology is an enabler. It's not the end solution. It's an enabler for us to offer the best data or the best risk management. So I'm thinking, why not sharing and collaborating between all those fintechs? Of course, there is Fintech Alliance, there is Fintech Philippines, those associations that can provide the data themselves. So a collaboration between all those small lending companies who are on the field, because we are on the field. We go, so on our side we are more SME, we are not really microfinance side, but we send our agents to those businesses, to those business owners who either want to improve their working capital, who want to make their working capital works, or are cash-hungry businesses who are really tied with their cash flow. So we have a major role in this microfinancing industry, and we definitely want to contribute. Thank you.
As first-time attender and as an academic practitioner, this is heavy for me, especially I'm not a business, I did not graduate in business school, but this is very important, especially to our students, as Sir Tony is planning to insert it with all the schools. And microfinancing for me, microfinance education for me is very important. Because, to be honest, nakakashock nga yung mga pinag-uusapang policy dito. Ay, meron palang ganon. Ay, ganon pala yung problema ng mga maliliit. Actually, as the head of the community outreach program, ito talaga yung problema ng mga adopted community namin. Paano sila makakapag-umpisa ng business? Una sa lahat, mababa lang yung pinag-aralan nila. So, wala rin sila mga documents na hinihingi ng mga lending companies and etc. etc. So, mas nagugustuhan pa nilang mangutang sa Bombay kasi arawan may kinikita sila. Pero I just hope we can help this small business or micro business na para nang sa ganon, makatulong sa mga Pilipinong akala nila wala ng pag-asa sa buhay yung kanilang kabuhayan. Thank you.
Good morning. As a BSA student and as a student, yung mga topics na mention kanina, like yung mga problema po talaga sa requirements, which is problema talaga ng maliliit na tao na gustong mag-start ng business. Pero hindi po, tawag dito, hindi po sila nabibigyan ng pansin. Yung paghingi ng mga IDs na ang kailangan is IDs din na from the government. So, doon sila nahihirapan. Tapos, yung mga tawag dito, sa paghanap ng katulong like sa bangko ba o sa cooperative sila lalapit para mag-grow yung business nila. So, medyo lack sila doon. Then, kaya maganda rin po na magkaroon ng other program sa mga kagaya nila or seminar dun sa mga taong gustong mag-grow yung business and matulungan sila para po lalo pa po nilang pagbutihan or someone na tutulong sa kanila para ma-open mind na may mga other government institution or private institution na willing mag-help sa kanila. Yun po. Thank you.
Good morning. Maraming salamat po sa mga binanggit nyo. Marami ako natutunan about ulitin ko lang yung sinabi nila na talagang working with sari-sari store owners, yun talaga yung concern, the IDs and the documents, kung ano yung pwedeng hingin nating substitute para maka-avail pa rin sila ng mga loans. Tungkol naman po doon sa KYC, hindi ko rin po alam yung sagot. Gusto ko lang itanong kung paano siya ginagawa ng mga kumpanya kagaya ng GCash. Kasi mukhang kaya rin nilang magpautang in a way. I mean, nagbe-build sila ng facility based on, pinag-aaralan ko pa lang rin po, na pwede kayong umutang rin sa kanila. And I think they're also regulated. So, kung paano nila yung ginagawa, baka meron tayong makita lang.
Yung mga inputs is very helpful, lalo na for Cebuana, Luwilier. Since you know Cebuana, usually our thing is we accept pawning. So, dun kami, in terms of what, hindi kami nagpapautang, pero tumatanggap kami ng pawnable items. But, yung one thing na sinabi ni Ma'am from RFC is that medyo mahirap nga na pag nagpautang ka na, minsan, hindi ka pa nababayaran. Because I think that was 3 years ago when we launched the microloan of Cebuana Luwilier, and we lend out 100 million, pero onti lang yung nabalik na payments. So, medyo risky siya, pero we took the chance. Yeah, coming from that. And then, one thing that I would also like to say is that usually kailangan din nating malaman what is the reason behind of their loan. Kasi usually, most of our clients, why they're having loans, especially yung may mga businesses na, is not because gusto lang nila umutang. Usually, yung mga yan, ang nangyari, may nagkaroon ng sunog sa kanila or nasalanta sila ng disaster. That's why, in partnership with DTI and GIZ, no, if you're familiar with GIZ, Cebuana Luwilier crafted a micro-insurance product for the micro-entrepreneurs. No? So for instances na magkaroon ulit ng disasters, they won't do or mababawasan yung pagpunta nila sa mga lending companies or sa mga banks because they have an insurance na pwedeng sumalo doon sa mga nasalanta sa kanila. Yun. So I think we should also focus on that kasi especially hindi naman, kasi we know, lalo na ngayon na magsisimula na naman yung tag-ulan, for sure there will be businesses na magiging prone sa mga ganit sa flooding or what. So I think that's one thing that we should also focus, na instead of also giving them na parang access to, instead of giving these micro-entrepreneurs access sa loans, why don't we also give them access to insurance? So on the start pa lang, pwede nang may sumalo doon sa business nila pag nagkaroon ng loss. Kasi pwedeng mabawasan yung amount na pwede nilang i-loan sa banks. So in short, hindi na sila magpupunta pa sa mga Bombay or sa mga lending companies. Kasi ang nangyayari po doon is nagkakaroon lang ng cycle. Mababayaran nga nila yung utang, pero after nun, pag nagkaroon na naman ng disaster, or pag nagkaroon na naman ng loss, is uutang na naman sila. So, ang nangyayari, yung capital nila or yung invest na nasisave nila yung pera is hindi nila nasisave kasi binabayad na nila sa utang. Yun lang po. Thank you.
So, in fairness naman sa mga different government agencies, so I know we are doing a lot of things to help the MSME sectors. In fact, BTI has its Mentor Me program, negosyo centers, even before may partnership with the PDRF on the resiliency programs for the MSME sectors. May mga roadshows, I know, nationwide to promote the importance of insurance as mentioned by her earlier. So I think the three main problems are, number one, yung availability of data. Yun yung talaga yung challenge natin. Number two is, how do we disseminate the information? May available na products for this, but the problem is, the MSMEs are not aware na meron palang product na ganito. And meron palang loan products or insurance products that are available for them. And number three is to encourage PPP or public-private partnership programs. So yun siguro, yung tatlong major factors that will really help the MSMEs to grow and to develop further. Thank you.
Okay, so for the Cooperative Development Authority, also we would like to thank for inviting us. Actually, when we speak of financial inclusion, I think the cooperatives play very important role there because they are the one providing access to credits even to the barangay level or to the city level because there are cooperatives on that level. So I think the challenge of and then there's no problem on the KYC because they are lending. They are microfinance institutions, and they are lending to their members only. And there are cooperatives whose memberships goes to around hundreds of thousand members. And I think the challenge of these cooperatives is on the producers, the producers cooperatives or agriculture cooperatives who has difficulty on the accessing of finances. And I look forward that it will be solved through this forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our invitation said we will end at 11. We have a little overtime. Before I wrap up, are there other comments, complaints, protests? Nagkagulo kagabi sa Hong Kong. They were using rubber bullets last night. Oh, grabe. They hit them with a lot of I used to live in Hong Kong, so I'm very concerned about my friends there. Anyway, any last minute comment? Okay, so I'd like to wrap up, and please correct me if my understanding and recollection is inaccurate since I forgot to bring paper and write it down. Okay, so the first thing is that for those who would like to engage us in arranging the meeting with the Senate and House committees, please inform Jojo so you'll be in that group. We have made preliminary arrangements already. We're just waiting for a confirmation on who will be the final committee chairman in the House. Today, hopefully, they will start the process. By next week, we should know. So, anybody from the non-government side who would like to join us there, tell us. Kung hindi, okay lang, kami, we will talk to them. Okay, number two, those who have data, please send it to us kung pwede, or tell us where we can get it so we will take care of making a direct communication. Okay, sana kahit na on an aggregate basis, kahit na on an aggregate basis, we can get some information. Thirdly, we will, once I get the name from the central bank, I will make sure to arrange a discussion either with your fintech or whatever group regarding both yung plan for education as well as the research and the lending. I have a lot of schools committed to work with me to do that. Okay. Next, with your permission, maybe the person concerned in Central Bank would like to involve us on the CHED discussion because we are talking to CHED directly. We are the guys who work with them to introduce a 3-unit course on CSR, which is now mandatory to graduate. We would like to discuss microfinance with them as a separate one. When the CSR started, it was all integrated. Now, it's taking over the ethics and governance course. Dapat ganon. So there will be proper syllabi, etc. ganon. And students cannot graduate without taking that course. So if there's somebody at CB, Central Bank, just tell us. Next, if it's okay with the government representatives here and the rest, we will do a summary on why we suggest micro should be treated separate from SME in terms of specific programs. Not in terms of removing it, but in terms of programmatic discussions only. I do not know if there is any government agency here who will object to that, but tell us so we do not, do anything that you don't want to do. But for those who think it is useful, we will prepare a communication with them. Now, if there's anybody in this body who does not want their name or signature to be included, kasi we have your registration, di ba? Please advise us so we don't include. Otherwise, we will say, we talked to all of them. It was just a general consensus of the body, not individual commitment of any organization or individual. So just tell us if you don't want. Kasi we will formally communicate with the secretaries concerned that we would like some things to be done related to micro in terms of data generation, research, etc., and programs. Without removing the MSME, because as Alice reminded us, there are discussions in ASEAN, Asia, whatever. Okay. Did I forget anything about what we discussed? Is there anything else we discussed? Ako lang, ang dadagdag ko lang, if you have no objection, we are in the process of preparing a position paper on what incentives we think, although incentives are not encouraged, what incentives we think should be given to the rural banking sector to be the primary partner in microfinance support to micro-entrepreneurs. If any of you think that is inappropriate, we will be careful not to include any government agency in this thing. Now, of course, I will expect Land Bank to be the single biggest one because rural banks go to Land Bank anyway. So when I talk of rural bank, I'm talking about Land Bank. I want Land Bank to have a few 100 billion just for this. It will make a big difference. And then we can talk about what you can do for students also. Diba? Kasi wala kayong ganon. And I think that the Land Bank and the Cooperative Development Authority should have something for education. I want these grade 12 and grade 11 students to be assisted for those who are interested to set up a small business. Maybe we can do a pilot. Malit lang, 100,000 lang. Bigyan natin tigli 10,000. Diba? Gawin natin parang contest. Then let's see. What do you think? Kasi kailangan may data tayo eh. I don't know sa CDA, if that's okay sa CDA, ma'am, to work with us and see what we can do with schools so they can put up those co-ops and see what they can do in micro. Basta't kami, as a foundation, we are willing to support this in creating the teams, the management, the personnel, para you don't have to spend for those things. Kaya lang we need your organizational expertise, your financial expertise naman. So kung okay sa inyo, as a side project, gagawin namin yon related to rural banks and then related, and we can talk with the rural bank separately, di ba? Magkaka-board meeting naman next ano eh. So para lang, I'm full disclosure lang so you know what we're doing. Basta when it involves any government type of activity, I will remove the names of all the government people in this meeting. I think to be fair, because there are bosses involved. Diba? Kami nang bahala sa communication with the bosses. Anything else? So if I did not miss anything, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I hope you don't mind. For those concerned, we do have certificates of participation, fill in your name. Di ba? So, Jod, are they with you? Distribute mo na lang as they go out yung certificate, di ba? I think that's important for some people. For those, it's up to you. Okay? So, maraming salamat po. Can we end with a prayer? Father,